Alright guys, so in the last video we went ahead and made it so that we could view all of our business contacts. We can click more to extend certain businesses. Now what we want to do is I want to be able to filter by category, and this is going to be pretty easy. So we're going to go to our app component.html, and let's go right after this line break right here, and we're going to put in a div with an ngIf. Okay, so this is going to be a conditional. And we're going to test the app state. So we're going to say if app state is equal to default. We're also going to put a class of row here. And then we'll end the div. And let's put a div with the class here. This is going to be, we're basically going to have two columns. One column is going to be a button to add a business, and then another will be the category filter. Okay, so we'll say large 6 columns. Alright, and then we'll copy that. We're going to have another one. So in this first one, let's put in a button. And let's give it a class of button. Okay, it's going to have a click event. When it's clicked, it's going to call, it's going to change the state. It's going to call change state, and it's going to change it to add, okay, to the add state. And then it'll just say add business. Alright, so that's that column. And this one over here will be the category filter. Let's put in a label on a table. A label. And we'll say filter category. And then we're going to put a select. Now what we want to do is we want to put in a change event, because we're not going to have a button or anything. We just want, when we select it from the drop down, we want it to run. So we're going to say change, then we're going to call a function called filter category, and we're going to pass in filtered category dot value, okay, which will be a property that we'll create in a second. All right, we're also going to add number sign filtered category so that we can get the actual value. Okay, and then we'll end the select. Okay, and then what we want to do here is we want to first of all have a default option, which will just have a value of 0, and this will just say select. Alright, and then we need to actually loop through the categories and output them as options. So let's put an option tag, and then we're going to use an ng4. Alright, and in here we're going to say let category of categories, and let's give it value of double curly brace, and then category dot name. And inside the option for the text, we also want the category name. And we need to end the label. Okay, so everything is wrapped in the label. And let's save that. Alright, so the reason we're not seeing it is because we're checking to see if the app state is default. Alright, which right now it's not. When we just reload the page, we're not in any state. If I click more, that brings us to the extend state, and then if I click go back, that brings us to the default state, and now you can see it's showing. So what we need to do is when we first enter the application, we need to enter the default state. So let's go to our component, and inside ng on init, we just have to say this dot state is equal or equals default. Alright, so now I'm sorry, not state, it's app state. So this app state equals default. If we save that, now you can see that this is now showing by default. Okay, and we're getting all our categories. It's not going to filter yet because we haven't created that function. So let's go ahead and do that. So right under the change state function, we'll create filter category. All right, and that's going to get passed in a category. All right, and then what we can do is we'll say this dot underscore Firebase service dot get businesses, and we're going to pass in a category. Okay, and then we'll say dot subscribe, and let's do businesses, and then we're going to set this dot businesses equal to businesses. Alright, now I'm going to save this, but the reason why we're getting an error is because we're passing in category and this isn't set up to take in a parameter. So let's go to our service where we have get businesses, and we're going to add in here category, which will be a string. But we also want to set it by default to null just in case we don't pass in the category. Okay, and then what we'll do is check to see if it's there. We'll say if category, and this is going to have an else. Alright, so the else, we can actually just grab this, or just this line, put that in there. Okay, and then if there is a category, and let's actually check, we'll say if category is not equal to null. Okay, if it's not equal to null, then let's grab this, paste that in. Alright, and then what we want to do is after the slash businesses, we're going to have a second parameter here, which is going to be an object, and then we're going to specify query, which will be an object, and let's do order by child category, and also equal to category. Okay, so that what that'll do is it'll fetch it by category. So let's save that. Okay, and let's say we want to choose IT. And now you can see it's filtering all the ITs. Retail, animal care, construction. Alright, so we can now filter by category. Alright, so now that we have that done, we want to be able to add a business. So let's go back to our view, our app component HTML, and I want to go right under what we just did. So right here, and we're going to have a div with an if statement, so ng if, and we're going to test the state again. So we're going to say if app state is equal to add. Okay, then we want this to show. Alright, so let's first put in a column div. So this will be large 12 columns. Alright, and in here let's put an H3, and we'll just say add business. And we need a form. And this will be a two-column form, so we'll have fields on one side, fields on another. So let's put in a row, and this is gonna just have a class of row. Okay, and then let's put 2 columns, or I'm sorry, 2 divs, which will be 6 columns wide. So large 6 columns. Alright, and in here, actually let's copy that. In here we're going to put label, and this will be the category. So this is going to be a select, and we'll give it an ID of category, and then what we need to do is loop through the categories just like we did above. So first we'll have a select, an option with the value of 0. That'll just say select. Then we'll have an option with an NG4. Okay, so this will be let category of categories. Okay, and this will have a value of category.name, and then also in here will be category.name. Alright, and then in the next column down here, oh, you know what? I want this one to be the company and that one to be the category. So I'm just going to grab what we just did and cut, and then put it in this one here. Actually, let's put that. We'll put this in here too because it's going to be similar. So this is going to be the company, and instead of having a select, we're going to have an input. Okay, so this will be type text, and let's do a placeholder. We'll say company name, and we're going to give this an ID of company. Alright, and we need that ending label tag as well, here and down here. Alright, so let's just see if those fields show up. Alright, so this right here, unexpected closing div tag. Let's see, so label, that's correct, label here. Oh, there is an extra div here. Let's get rid of one of these. Okay, so if we click add business, you can see our form is now showing. Alright, so for this warning to go away down here, we're going to go to main.ts, and we're going to just paste in this import, which is disable deprecated forms and provide forms. And then for the bootstrap, we just need to add into this array disable deprecated forms, which is a function, and then also provide forms, which is a function. Save that, and now that error should go away. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue to add our fields. So go back to our HTML. So we're going to paste in the next row. So that one ends there, and then I'm going to paste that in. So this is the years in business, which is an input, a text input. Alright, has the ID of years in business. Down here is a description, which is a text area, which has the ID of description. So let's go to the next row. Okay, we'll paste that in. This one here is going to be the phone number and the email. Next one is street address, which is a text input, and city, also a text input. Okay, next one is the state and zip code, and then for the last row, that's going to be a submit button. Okay, so input with the type of submit. Now what we have to do is go back up to the opening form tag, and we need to have an event here. This is going to be a submit. So when this is submitted, it's going to run add business. Alright, now what we have to do is in this parameter we have to actually add all of the different fields. Alright, so we need to do company dot value, category dot value. Alright, and these are coming from these IDs here. Alright, so let me just grab the rest of those, paste those in. Oops. I'll just go like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and save it, and then we're going to go back to the component TS file, and let's go under the filter category and say add business. And then again, this is going to take in all those parameters, so I'm going to paste that in. And then in the actual function, we also have a created at field, so let's do created at, and we're going to set that to new date, and we want the string version, so we're going to say toString. Okay, that's going to be the create, and then we need to create a new object to submit as a business. So we'll call this new business, set it to an object, and we'll do company, and let's do category. Okay, and we'll paste the rest in. Okay, you notice we also have the created at. And then what we're going to do, just to test things out, let's do console.log, and we want to log that new business just to make sure that it's actually being created. So let's save it. Okay, we'll click add business. There's our form. So we'll just say test listing, and I'm just going to put in just some random stuff here. Alright, and submit. And now you can see down here we have our object, which is a new listing. So now what we want to do with that is we want to call a service function, okay, which we haven't created yet. So we'll say this dot underscore Firebase service dot add business, and that's going to take in that new business. Alright, now once we do that, we want to change the state back to default. So this dot change state, and we want default. Now we're getting this error here, and it says parameters don't match the signature of the target. So the reason for that is if we go up here, change state has 2 parameters. Well, the key is optional, so what we'll do is set that to null, like that. Okay, now you can see that that's gone. So now what we need to do is create the add business function in the service. So I'm going to save this. We'll go to the service, and we'll say add business. Okay, remember that takes in a new business object. And we're actually going to set this as a promise. So what we can do is right here, we'll say colon promise of any type. And in here we're going to return this dot businesses dot push, okay, because we're adding it to the businesses, and then we're just going to pass in new business, and it should be as simple as that. So let's save it, and we'll go back. Okay, so we'll say add business, we'll say test company, years in business, phone number, This is a sample listing. Alright, so let's go ahead and click submit, and there it is, test company. So if we reload, it's still there. We click more and we can see all the rest of the info. Okay, so we can now filter categories and also add a business. In the last video, we're going to give functionality to the edit and the delete buttons.